I don't actually have a problem with that many labels of the book. I feel very strongly that it's a Filipino-American book. I feel very strongly that it's a queer LGBT book, in particular a book about bi women. I feel very strongly that it's an immigrant novel. I don't feel that any of those labels are diminishing. And sometimes, when you hear this, like, I don't want to be considered a Filipino writer. I just want to be a writer. The thing that inheres in that is, well, then Filipino must in some way be a diminishment. That must be in some way take away from the idea of being the writer. But that only makes sense if you buy into this kind of false neutrality that really is upheld by assuming that writer then is white, because these are the only people who have access to that type of institutional power that then can confer itself as neutrality. And I'm not really interested in that false neutrality. This is a book about Filipino people and the Filipino diaspora. Even labeling it as an immigrant novel, yeah, no, I mean, it's a book about immigrants. I'm fine with it being labeled as an immigrant novel. I think the thing that's more interesting to interrogate is why in the kind of publishing discourse or literary discourse does immigrant novel carry with it a kind of genre apart, right? Because I would love for people to start being like, well, this is like another like white person's novel. This is another like middle-class white person's novel. In the way that we talk about immigrant novels, as if that the fact that a book about people's lives, that the fact about a book about how people live in the world should in some way be diminished by the fact that those people happen to be immigrants. That I think is what we should be interrogating.